Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. And sorry for the technical difficulties for those of you who were on hold for a few minutes while we got going. I am joined today by David Goutcher, all the way from Scotland. David, thanks so much for taking the time to join me this afternoon.
Thanks very much, Noah. Thanks for reaching out.
Absolutely. And what caught my attention is that, somebody had done a tweet out to the Pokemon Go creators saying, hey, Pokemon Go, what would it take to get you to have badges and really incorporate this to motivate students and learning and literacy? And you piped in and said, hey, Pokemon Go is not really designed for that, but SpyQuest is. And so that caught my attention. And so really just kind of wanted to learn a little bit more. And so folks who are interested, they could go to spy-quest.com and follow you on Twitter. And, before we kind of dive too into the weeds, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about, what brought you to using augmented reality and just, what SpyQuest is.
Yeah, it's no problem. It's funny, we've been flying under the radar for many years, and SpyQuest has actually been about since 2009 when we first came up with the concept. In fact, 2008 came up with the concept, and we've been working with schools for the last 7 years, looking at how we can develop the concept and use it to help teachers and so that they spend less of their time and we can actually make it for them. And then you have augmented reality woven right into the very fabric of the game. And technology had to catch up with us. Technology for the children, a bit like Pokemon, I'm quite sure John Hank had the same issues. You were sitting waiting for the children to actually get the devices in their hands where they could actually use it. That they weren't trying to borrow mums and dads expensive iPhones or whatever it was. So when the technology caught up, we've been working away as well in the background, and it was lovely to see Pokemon Go, to give them their due. Pokemon, what an amazing success story. But we've been sitting in the background with SpyQuest and working away. SpyQuest is an online interactive game that uses augmented reality. As you know, augmented reality has been around for a long, long time, 20, 30 years. We use it different from what Pokemon Go do. We use it, we create, when our animation team create the material that people have to find. Again, a bit like Pokemon, it's an online treasure hunt. You have to go somewhere, you have to find something. Instead of catching Pokemons, ours is all educational based. It's all about core skills. We have worked through different lines for STEM, for languages, and latterly one of the biggest things that we're doing is for the literacy, and that's tied into the 2 books that are out so far and another 10 to come in the SpyQuest series.
Awesome. And we do have a question for anybody who's watching us live. If you want to toss questions, you can send them to me at @SeniorG on Twitter, and I'll see them live. But we got one question. It asked, when SpyQuest going to be available? The book, I'm guessing, south of the border.
South of the border, it's available now. Waterstones, certainly Waterstones Scotland have seen the phenomenon. I think we've had over 18 book signs in the last 18 months, where we, again, a bit like Pokemon, we can shut down a whole shopping centre with the amount of people that come along and queue for hours to buy books. Boys and girls, we've got a kind of 52% girls to 48% boys. So they can go into Waterstones, you can buy it on Amazon. I think the biggest thing is the questions we've been getting asked is, when's it coming to the US? And that's where we're ready. This is we're gearing up for the launch across the schools as well as the books. And we already have American hotels. We have it in Walt Disney World at Bonnet Creek Resort. We have it in the Sheraton Vistana and a lot of the big Sheraton Westin Starwood resorts from Hawaii right through America down to Cancun. So it's been there for the last 5-6 years.
That is so awesome. And for folks who are just approaching this with, okay, so it's a book, students can read it, it's exciting, they get to role play as secret agents. And when you start talking about hotels, where do the hotels come into play?
Well, my idea for that, SpyQuest is really from my experience as a policeman. I was a law enforcement officer for 17 years. So
you were an undercover detective, right?
I was an undercover detective. I trained people how to work undercover. And the game is as close to the real training program as I've ever seen. It teaches you all the tips and tricks on how to immerse people in a storyline. You have the augmented reality. The spy world obviously has a lot of technology that people have never seen before. and it eventually feeds back down into normal society, like face recognition and some of the things we've built into the game. That I don't want to spoil it for too many people, but when people play the game and then now laterally reading the books, I want them to get that same butterflies in the stomach that we had on a training program. And that's one of the biggest reasons why it's created such a phenomenon in our country. And hopefully if we can replicate that everywhere else, that we're happy we're on a really good trail.
Yeah, and something I want to ask you about, and you talk about this going back now, 7, 8, maybe even 9 years, and so many folks, when they try and do things with education, they end up doing them for education or to education. And I hear you saying that from day one, you were working hand in hand with classrooms to really, fine tune this and make sure that it was meeting your users' needs, not just creating something that you thought students would want to read, but actually working with young people and their teachers to create an amazing literature experience, it kind of sounds like.
Perfect, Nancy, summed it up perfectly. My passion is inspiring children to read. Of all the things and all the money in the world, there is nothing better than sitting there at a book signing and having the children come along to talk to you and the sparkle in their eyes, and then going into schools where they want to talk to you about all your characters. And that came from a lot of building the game. We have over 200 partnership schools in Scotland. And I don't know if you know the Scottish education market, but it's a tough market. Every head teacher has their own authority to take whatever they think is going to work. But we do it as a not-for-profit. We've been in there working with the teachers, working with the head teachers. A man called Ollie Bray, I don't know if Ollie's watching to this just now. Ollie came in a way back at the start and were asked to have it evaluated for education. And Ollie had just won Microsoft World Teacher of the Year in 2009. I think he actually won the UK, the European and the world on games-based learning. And Ollie wrote a white paper on the educational benefits of the game. And that really had us started. During those evaluations, but Ollie gave some recommendations on how it could work really well for transition, but how the other parts of the curriculum it could work, how you could teach people the core skills without them learn. It was stealth learning. You've got them in a hook. And we went and did evaluations. It wasn't, when we went to the schools, the Scottish Government picked 4 of the most deprived schools in the country. And my wife and I had went along. I couldn't believe the deprivation in some of the schools, not that, only 20 minutes away from our house. And you're going in and these children had nothing, absolutely nothing. The head teachers, there was a wee girl, a little girl, who came to talk to me, and the teacher came running up afterwards and she said, "What did she say?" I said, "Oh, she was lovely. She was chatting about Special Agent Oso." And she said, no, that little girl's got, I can't remember the word for it, but voluntary deaf mute. She has chosen, her life has been so traumatic at 6 years old that she's just decided not to talk to anybody, and she's never spoke right through primary 1. And here she is chatting away for a few minutes about Special Agent Oso. And I don't know, there was similar stories the whole way through the school. So right from that early experience, we decided that no, this is something that we're going to do. We'll go away and we'll try it in hotels and resorts, and we've been over the Middle East, America, and different countries, trying it in different cultures, different languages, finding out what worked and what didn't. I was lucky that we don't have investors, so we've got nobody breathing down our neck to demand that we must be making money. And it was just built with the right ethos on exactly what we're going to do. And we just waited and we waited. And I said, there's been tough times, but we've stuck to our principles. And this is where it was so nice to come out the other side and now and just say, do you know what? We're ready.
There's just so many pieces there that I really think resonate with a lot of educators today, that, you're not just putting out a book, you're putting out an experience. You're not just, doing this confined to the 4 walls and bells of a school, but you're actually creating authentic opportunities for teachers to reach out to places like hotels in their neighborhood, which, every town, on earth probably has, a hotel or something approximating it, at least an Airbnb, right? And so, opportunities for real world collaboration and interactions with some of these partners for schools. And the kind of other really big idea that I think is so popular for really good reasons right now in education is, talking about students not just as consumers, but also as producers. And I'm wondering, as you see this being not just an ongoing series, but students kind of having their own light bulbs and teachers as well going off and saying, aha, what are some of the ways you're seeing readers and educators actually become creators and create their own supplementary and kind of forks off of the SpyQuest series?
Yeah, you're exactly just what we've been doing. We have the 200 odd schools that we have. We've allowed them to not just, we give them the SpyQuest storylines. Now, a storyline, we have a dozen different storylines. We can add different storylines all the time. It's like watching your favourite James Bond movie. You can play a different storyline. So you play Goldfinger one week and then the Casino Royale the next. We've got our own stories. But what the really interesting bit was, there was us going in and saying, right, to the teacher, we've made this for you. This ticks all your boxes. It's endorsed by the Scottish Qualification Authority, Education Scotland. We've made it for you. It's going to save you a lot of time. And then the teachers were seeing the reaction and they're saying, no, but I'd like to use it for this, this, and this. And the really lovely bit is we've been able to spend that time and let them develop their own storylines, where we've taken their storylines, turned it into a game, and gave them it back again and said, there you go, you play it. And the education authorities, which doesn't really ever happen, they actually had it as an example of excellence in digital learning and had all the teachers at the big day at the headquarters a couple of years ago. They invited all the teachers and they said, right, we're going to put a bit for SpyQuest on our Glow system, it's called in Scotland, so that teachers can share and if one teacher is producing a game for a certain year topic, other teachers can come along and say, oh, I love that game. They can even come to us and amend it, but they can just take it off the shelf and say, oh, that's fantastic, that works for me. It relieves a bit of the burden. But you have so many creative teachers that, yes, we've allowed them. As we roll out, obviously, when we roll out the first bits, we'll be looking for ambassadors who will have that opportunity. And then the other people will be given the hook. But we've worked out a product matter that fit.
And David, for any teachers who are watching this, not live, but they stumble on it on your website or on a blog or just on YouTube, and they say, whoa, me and my student, we want to be ambassadors. What can they do to get involved?
Just email me. Email me at inquiries@polybiusgames.com. Give me their contact details over there, and we'll get back to them. We've hung off. You can imagine we've already did a lot of inquiries previously, and we've hung off to we were in the right place financially and also as part of the strategy to go forward. So now that we're ready, we're looking for people to come forward and say, do you want to try it? Come and see us. We'll sit down, we'll talk you through it. We won a big innovation award, the John Logie Baird Award in the UK, because we can create a unique game for any venue, anywhere in the world. So every classroom can have their own unique game of SpyQuest. What you find with the children.
I really love that, David. That in this world of mass production, you're creating these storylines, that enable mass customization for, kind of that personalized learning in, any given learning environment. And for folks who want to see videos of how some of the augmented reality triggers work and just kind of the pure, just unbridled joy that students are experiencing with David's books, you can definitely check out spy-quest.com. William Jenkins, who you should definitely be following on Twitter at edtech_stories. On his blog has done an interview with David and has some videos as well that you can view. And, before we wrap up here, we did have a live question coming from Graham, David. Going back to that stats that you shared that, over half, 52%, of your audience are actually, females. And I think that that's kind of both amazing and for a lot of us surprising, especially given the themes that we're working with here. And Graham wants to know, did that organically happen or was that something that was intentionally targeted?
No, it's went organically. We did a lot of analysis at the start as to who was paying for the game in the hotels, and it was quite surprising. It's always remained over 50%, just over. I think the highest we ever had was about 54%. But then when we do with the book signings, it was quite surprising to the teachers how many boys, especially how many reluctant readers came. With social media, the messages, the emails, the letters we get, the amount of young boys who have never read a book, who are suddenly appearing and buying a book and reading it in the first day or within a couple of days. It was a big surprise to the teachers, so it goes both ways slightly.
Man, that is so exciting, and really, I'm excited for my chance to see it here stateside. And thank you, everybody who watched live. Anybody who's watched this on YouTube, make sure you check out David's website, spy-quest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at at Goutcher D, so Goutcherd on the Twitter. And it looks like you were about to hold up the book there, David.
I was going to just show you the book, and just for the last couple of seconds there.
Yes, sir.
There's a SpyQuest app. You don't really take your fingerprint when you download it. It's free in iTunes. And down the bottom right-hand side, there's a spy cam. This is the augmented reality. This is similar to your Pokemon Go, but when you put it to the book, let's see if you can see that coming. Oh, that's it come alive. And that happens with everything, not just with. We knew that people wouldn't be able to play the game. It's a very lot, the few that can go to hotels. So everything you play in SpyQuest, whether it be the leaflets, whether it be the things you find, the posters you find, they all come alive, and they give you intelligence briefings, and we could use satellites in the sky. We create an awful lot of magic that brings it to life.
And I think you hit the nail on their head there, right? And you mentioned at the very start that you came to this project because of your passion for literacy and reading. And for all of us who, have had that switch flip to become lifelong readers, and, the joy that we experience, I think, really is triggered by that word that you say, and that's magic. And I think it's awesome that you're bringing that magic into the world for so many kids in a way that is just so in line with the times, that allows them to, use the devices in their hands to give them what they want, the interaction with technology, in order to give them what they need. And that's awesome literacy experiences. David, thank you so much for taking the time to stay up late there in Scotland and join us here on this broadcast, and have a great night.
You too. Thank you very much, Noah. Bye-bye then.